There are many things in the Bible that raise an eyebrow here and there, but sometimes you need to think about it for a moment, sort of pause and reflect, like we do with many things in our own personal lives. Since the church still counts this entire week as Easter, the whole week, since the joy of Christ's resurrection cannot be contained to just one day, it's worth taking a mental note that none of his followers believed he would rise from the dead. Think about that. We just assume, yeah, of course they all believed it. The church started 2,000 years ago. Not that weekend. Think about this. They were all there and saw with their own eyes Lazarus walk out of the tomb, the little dead girl get up and rejoin her family, the grieving widow and mother see her dead son rise up and be restored to her. They were all eyewitnesses to all of that. And yet, in the horror of the brutality of the passion and the death of our Lord, they all lost faith. Huddled up there in the upper room, weighed down by fear of the Jewish leaders, ashamed they'd been such fools for the past 3 years, in turmoil over what the rest of their lives would look like as they contemplated the scorn and the mockery they would surely receive from family and former associates as they returned to their boats, tax collecting, and their other jobs. It was hopeless. What is curious is that in all of that, just as they were without belief in the resurrection, his closest friends, his enemies, did believe. At least enough to wonder. They insisted on a guard around a dead man's tomb. Sure, they said it was for fear of his followers coming and stealing the body, but they had their own thoughts too. After all, they too had seen the miracles, dead people coming back to life, thousands being fed, a blind man right there in their very own presence, right there in the temple, professing the truth of Jesus being God. Could he rise from the dead? They'd heard him say that multiple times with their own ears. Yes, a truly weird twist in scriptures that Christ's enemies were willing to believe he would rise from the dead, even as his own disciples would not even hear of it. That was the nascent church, huddled in the upper room, terrified, racked with sorrow, and unbelieving. However, there was one disciple, the most faithful and important disciple, who did believe, never stopped believing, and was waiting in intense sorrow, yes, over what had happened on Friday, but also expectant joy of what she knew was going to happen, that in short order, her divine Son would stand before her, bathed in heavenly majesty in his now glorified body. Mary. Into Mary, over these 3 days, the entire church collapsed. She was the only remaining faithful disciple on earth. Her son, the king, as Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, had referenced him to her 34 years earlier, was on his way back to his queen mother. And she knew it. Now she fully understood why the angel had greeted her with the salutation of royalty. Hail. The king, her son, which in the royal Davidic messianic line made her the queen, had conquered death and redeemed the world. It is therefore beyond fitting that she who first heard the explicit plan of salvation at its beginning would now be the first to see it accomplished. She had said yes to God, and now God came to her and said, "Yes, mother, I am risen." It's why Mary had no need to go to the tomb. What would be the point? She already knew her son wasn't there. There's unanimous consent among the fathers of the church who touch on this that Mary was the first to behold her risen son. Mary Magdalene was the first public appearance, absolutely, but Mary, his mother, was the first. And since she was all there, all of this, at that moment, left of the church, that's all that was left of the church was Mary. Christ fittingly and in justice and love, predominantly love, showed himself first to her and vanquished her sorrow. She was the smallest church ever, a congregation of one, and Christ rewarded her with love beyond all telling, just as she had held him as an infant and bore him in her immaculate womb with love beyond all telling. Mother of the church, indeed. Coming to you from Houston, Texas, still wishing you a happy Easter. I'm Gary Michael Voris. God love you.